Assalamu alaikum viewers. In this video we are going to make bubble pants using this linen fabric with a peplum top, and we'll attach a flounce to this top, and I'm using 1 to 1.25 meter of this Bariza lawn fabric. First of all, we'll cut and stitch the pants. First, let me tell you the width of this fabric. It is 38 inches wide and I'm using 1.5 to 2 yards of this fabric. We'll fold the fabric widthwise like this. So I folded the fabric. Now we'll mark for the length of the trouser. So our full length is 26 inches. We'll attach 3 inches belt at the top, so it is 23 now, and including 1 inch seam allowance we'll mark at 24 inches. So for the length of the trouser we'll mark at 24 inches. Whatever is your full length, cut for the length of the trouser excluding the length of the belt, right? So I've cut 24-inch long. This is for one leg, right? It's folded. This whole fabric is for one leg. So these are two pieces for two legs, right? These are folded pieces. This is the folded side. Now we'll mark for the crotch area. Crotch area is 1/3 of our hip measurement. Our hip measurement is 28 inches and 1/3 is 9 inches. So we will mark at 9 inches, but we'll exclude the length of the belt, so it is 6 inches now. We'll mark at 6 inches, and including seam allowance I've marked at 7 inches. Now 2 inches inside the edge we'll give a shape like this. Now we'll cut at this point. So this is our crotch area. Now we'll just trim at side a little bit, and that's it. No more cutting or marking for the trouser, right? So these are the two legs of our trouser or pants. Now we'll match the right sides together of both the legs and stitch at the crotch area. So I've stitched the crotch area, as you can see here. Now when we'll open it, it's like that. It is joined at the crotch area, right? Now we'll attach a belt at the top, so we get the belt ready. So I have taken this strip of fabric. It is 1 inch wider than our hip measurement for seam allowance, right? Now we'll fold this fabric and stitch at the side, and it is 5 inches long because we need 3 inch long belt. 2 inches is for seam allowance, right? So I've stitched at one side. This will be the center front. Now we'll take our trouser. We are supposed to gather all this fabric down to this belt measurement, right? So what we'll do, we'll mark. This will be the center front. This is the center front. We have marked at the center back and the sides as well. This is very important. We have marked the sides, so we can know how much of the fabric will be pleated down to this width, right? This is the center front and center back of the trouser, so we'll mark at the sides as well. So we'll mark at this side, and the other side as well. Now we have marked at the sides and of the trouser as well as of the belt. Now we'll pin them together. So I've pinned the center front of the belt to the center front of the trouser, center back to center back, and sides to side. Now we know that this much fabric will be pleated down to what width of the belt, right? So we start from the center front, and we are supposed to pleat this fabric down to this point, right, where we pinned and we marked. So we'll simply pleat this fabric. So we have come up to this mark. This is the side mark, and now we'll pleat this fabric down to the next mark, and that is the center back, right? And we'll do the same for all the other marks as well. So we have pleated all the trouser down to the belt width, that is our hip measurement. So now it is attached. This is the front and the back. Now we'll simply make an elastic casing and insert an elastic. And for this, first cut a piece of elastic. It should be 5 to 6 inches less than your waist measurement. So my waist measurement here is 22 inches. So I've cut 18 inches wide elastic. Now place the elastic at the top of the waistband, leaving a half inch at the top, and stitch 3 to 4 times so it is fixed here. Now fold the fabric like this to make an elastic casing and stitch at the side. Make sure that elastic is not under the stitch line. So stitch at the side. So keep on stitching the side in the same way. When there is less elastic left, you can pull the elastic, so gathers will be at the back, and you can again stitch at the side. So that's why the elastic should not be under the stitch line, so you can pull it out like this and stitch ahead. So now it's the point where we started it. Stitch at the end and then make a few stitches at the end as well, so the end is also fixed in place. Now we have attached the elastic and the top part is done. And now for the bottom part, we'll attach a strip of interfacing and gather all the fabric there. That would be the bottom of our trouser. So I've taken 2 pieces of interfacing, 1.5 inches long and 11 inches wide. It's including seam allowance, and we need 2 strips of fabric as well. The length is equal, the width of the fabric is equal to the interfacing. It's 11 to 12 inches, but the length is more. It should be twice this measurement and more for seam allowance, so it is 5 inches long. Now we'll place interfacing at one side of the fabric, leaving a half inch seam allowance. So I've pasted the interfacing with iron, and now at the bottom of the trouser we'll go for a running stitch so we can gather the fabric very easily. So I have gathered the fabric, as you can see here, by running stitch, and now we'll place the strip of fabric with interfacing at the right side of the trouser here and stitch at the side. We won't gather the fabric at the sides, it is for seam allowance. So all the gathers will be at the center. So simply with this running stitch we can easily gather the fabric. So we'll adjust the gathers and attach it to the strip of fabric, and the stitch line should be alongside the interfacing. It should not be on the interfacing. And we leave 1.5 inch at the side without gathering the fabric. So it is done. So we have gathered the bottom of the trouser and attached it to the strip. Now this is the wrong side of the dress. Fold all the margin towards the facing and fold the fabric here, fold it inside and top stitch it. So I have top stitched it. As you can see here, this is the wrong side of the trouser. It's very nicely finished, and the right side as well. So we have done the same for the other leg as well. Now the only stitch line left is the inside seam here. Now we'll stitch it and the trouser is done. We'll attach 2 bow ties at the bottom here, so we'll mark at the center and we'll get the bow ties ready. For that I've taken 2 strips of fabric. These are for 2 bows. It's 9 inches wide and 4 inches long. Fold the strip like this and stitch at the side. So I've stitched the side, turn the right side out. The seam should be at the center, as you can see here. Now for wrapping the bow from the center, we'll get another strip ready, a thin strip. We'll stitch at the side like this, and to turn its right side out, we'll tie a knot at one corner. Insert the back side of the needle inside the strip and pull from the other side. So the right side is turned out. Now we'll press all the 3 strips, keeping the seam at the center. So I've pressed them very nicely. Now join the sides of the strip and stitch them here. So I've stitched them at the side, pleat down from the center and wrap this thin strip around the pleats, and you can fix them with a glue gun or you can hand stitch it. Now fix it in place at the side where we marked. I think it's better to attach the bows at the center front rather than side. It would be even nicer, so it's up to your choice. The trouser is done. Now we'll get the top ready. For the top I have taken 2 strips of fabric. It's 13 inches long. Normally I take 11 inch long strip of fabric for the bodice, but we'll keep it 2 inch longer, and the width is same, it's 15 inches. So there are 2 pieces for front and back part. Fold the fabric pieces like this. Now we'll mark for the shoulder first. We mark half of the shoulder. I'm marking at 5.5 inches. From here we'll mark for the armhole. We mark half of armhole round, so I'm marking at 6 inches. Extend these 2 points. At this point we'll mark for the chest. We mark 1/4 of the chest, so I'm marking at 6.5 inches, and 1 inch is for cutting. For the waist we mark 1/4 of waist. I marked at 6 inches and 1 inch is for the cutting mark. Now from the cutting mark we'll draw the shape for back armhole and the front armhole. Then front armhole is a bit deeper than the back part. Now we'll mark 2.5 inches for neck width and neck depth as well. Join these 2 points in a round shape. Now we'll cut for the neckline and back armhole first. Then we'll separate the back part and we'll cut the front armhole. So we keep the back part aside and we'll use the front part. So we take the fabric piece we are left with. At this side I cut for the bodies. So this is the fabric piece I have. I'll place the front bodies, folded front bodies on it, and keeping sufficient fabric on this side. So I'll trace the front bodies pattern on this fabric. The folded front bodies, okay, it should be folded. So we'll trace it in the same way, the neckline, half neckline, the armhole and the side. It should be exactly similar to the front bodies, but only half of it. So that's why I have folded it. Now we'll mark at 1 inch at the side here and 2 inches at the center front. So I marked at 2 inches here, so there will be a slope at the bottom. Now we'll separate the front bodies. Join these 2 points, so there is a slope at the bottom here, like this. Now for the neckline, we'll extend the neckline in the same shape on the other side and extend it 4 inches above. So I extended it 4 inches above the normal neckline. So you can see it's almost 4 inches here. Now we'll measure the width of the shoulder. It's 3 inches. So we'll mark at 3.5 inches on the other side, a half inch for seam allowance. So we'll mark 3.5 inches, but not in a straight line. I marked it in a slanting shape, as you can see here. So this is 3.5 inches wide. Now join this point to the shoulder in a slight curve, and that's it. So it's very easy to make this flounce. So I simply extended the neckline, marked the shoulder here and joined these 2 points in a curve, and that's it. Now we'll cut at these points. So I've cut at all these points, as you can see. Now before attaching it to the main bodies, we'll finish the sides of this pattern. So we take a strip of fabric. It's a bias strip. Fold it. It's about 1.5 inches. 1 to 1.25 inches would be sufficient. Fold it like this and place it on the side and stitch here. very close to the end, and once we'll stitch it here, then we'll fold it to the other side. So I've pinned it first, that strip, but I pinned it on the wrong side because that part will be in front when we will attach it to the main bodies. So I have placed the strip at the bottom side and pinned it there, and then we'll stitch here. So I have stitched it under this pattern, as you can see here. Now we'll fold it on the upper side like this and top stitch here. So simply I folded it on the upper side and pinned it in place, and now I'm stitching it. Pinning helps a lot in stitching. It is very easy to stitch when you pin the fabric first. So simply I'll remove the pins and stitch in place. So I folded the strip upwards this time, right? And top stitch it. So the sides are done. As you can see, it's very nicely finished. It's looking very nice and neat from the bottom as well as from the top. And I also attached the strip at the shoulder as well, right? Now this is the center front. We'll place this pattern on the front bodies. It is exactly cut in the same shape as the front bodies. Half of the front is same. So we'll pin it here. So I pinned it there. Now place the back bodies on the front bodies. The right sides are facing each other, and stitch at the shoulder. From this side, the flounce should not be under the stitch line, so fold it inside and stitch the shoulders. So I've stitched the shoulders, as you can see. So the flounce is attached to the main bodies and the back part at one shoulder. I pinned the flounce here. We'll stitch it later on. First we'll make a button placket at the center back, and I'll upload a video separately on how to make a button placket, inshallah, very soon. So you can also make a slit at the back. So it is a button placket. I'll upload a video separately on it, right? And for now we will attach the sleeves here. And so for the sleeves, I've taken these two strips of fabric, 4 inches long and 10 inches wide. Fold the strips. These are for both of the sleeves. And we'll make an armhole here like this, and 1 or 2 inches slope at the bottom. The armhole is wider than we need because we will pleat it at the shoulder. So we'll cut at the bottom and the armhole. So we'll just give a round shape. These are the cap sleeves, right? So we will finish the bottom of the sleeves as we did for the flounce. So I've attached the strip here and folded it to the wrong side, and the bottom is done. Now mark for the center of the sleeves so that it is attached to the shoulder point. Pin it here. Mark at 3.5 inches down the shoulder point at both sides, the back bodies and the front bodies. Now we'll attach the shoulder at this point, and the rest of the sleeve will be pleated at the shoulder point because the armhole at the sleeve is wider than normal. So I have attached the sleeves at both these points, and the extra fabric is pleated at the shoulder point, as you can see here. So it's looking very nice like this. We'll attach both the sleeves in the same way. Now the rest of the armhole will be folded inside and top stitched. So I have folded the rest of the fabric at the armhole inside at the wrong side and top stitched it, as you can see here. So it is done. I didn't attach any other bias strip or anything. You can also attach the bias strip as well if you want. Now we'll adjust the flounce in its place. So the flounce is exactly similar to the front bodies up to the center point, so it will be attached here at the center. The rest of the flounce will be pleated on the same side, so we'll make 2 pleats here. This is the one pleat. Adjust the pleat as you like the shape of the flounce. So I made 2 pleats, and the shoulder is also done as I told you before. I attached the bias strip at the shoulder as well. So we'll simply attach it here. Pin the pleats in place. So this is how it looks. We'll stitch the neckline here. So there is extra fabric on the neckline. We'll trim it after we finish the neckline. So first of all, we'll attach a bias strip at the neckline as we did for the sleeves and the flounce. So I have attached a strip on the right side of the neckline, as you can see here. We'll trim this extra fabric very near to the stitch line, close to the stitch line, and then fold it to the wrong side. So I trimmed the extra fabric and folded it to the wrong side, but I left this part because there are pleats here and we cannot top stitch it, otherwise they won't look so good. So I left this part unstitched and I'll hand stitch it later on. But I finished the rest of the neckline, as you can see here, on machine. And now I hand stitched this part as well. So the neckline is done. And now we will join the right sides together of the front and the back bodies and stitch at the sides. So I stitch at the side, giving a shape at the side because it is longer than the waistline. The bodice is longer than the waistline, right? Now the bodice is done. It's looking really nice and cute. And now we'll attach a peplum at the bottom of the bodice. So we get the peplum ready. For peplum, we need to know the length of the peplum we want. It's 5 inches including seam allowance, and taking 3 to 4 inches for the waist. We'll fold the fabric at 9 inches. So we need 18 inches long and 18 inches white fabric. So I've taken this fabric, it's 18 inches long and 18 inches wide. So we need a square piece. Now we'll simply fold the fabric lengthwise and widthwise. This is the folded side. We'll mark from here. For the waist first, our waist is 24 inches. We'll divide this measurement by 6.25 and whatever answer we get, we mark here. So we get 3.5 inches when we divide 24 by 6.25. So I'm marking at 3.5 inches from that corner. We divide it by 6.25 because we need the radius of the circle, the 1/4 of the circle, right? Okay, now for the length of the peplum, we'll add the waist measurement to the full length we want. So adding 3.5 to 5 inches, we get 8.5. The fabric is 9 inches, so I'm marking at 9 inches from that corner. Now we'll cut from these two lines and we'll get our circle peplum. So this is our peplum. It's a full circle and we'll attach it to the main bodies at this waistline here. But before attaching it to the main bodies, we'll finish the bottom of the circle, and for that we'll attach a strip of fabric on the right side and fold it to the wrong side as we did for the sleeves and the flounce. So you can see it is very nicely finished. And now we'll attach it to the main bodies. We'll simply flip the peplum like this, match the right sides together and stitch at the waistline. So I've attached the peplum, as you can see, and there should be no gathers at the stitch line because it's a circular peplum, it's not the gathered one. So it is nicely attached. So our top is ready and it's looking very nice and very cute. Must try it for your kids. and this is the final look of the dress. I hope you like the video, and if there is any question related to this video, you can ask me in the comments. And if you have not subscribed my channel, make sure to subscribe and press the bell icon so you will get notification on every new upload. And thank you so much for watching, and Allah Hafiz till the next video.